Hi everyone. So today we are going to discuss fifth module, designing with distributed object in software architecture and design pattern. So actually in this model we are going to discuss with the client server systems, basic architecture of the client server systems, JRM invocation, Java remote method invocation, and their remote interface and implementing the remote interface, setting up the uh, server, client, and system. So that way we are going to discuss. After that, implementing an object-oriented system on the website along with HTML, Java servlet, and with the detailed code of Java servlet entering and processing how the data in the website and HTML code, and also discussing with the get and post method in the website, how servlet and HTML cooperate to the server web design, interface requirement, logging and initial menus, and developing user requirement, and more about state transition diagram. So state transition diagram of a logged in, logged out, add member, return book, remove, save, retrieve book, so and so renew book. So that and all we are going to discuss, and along with design and implementation. So example of HTML file fragment will be discussed here. Configuration container will be discussed. Directory structure of servlet and class diagram of the structure of the servlet, and prepared sequence diagram removing book, and HTML code for the all the entering book of the library management system. So that will be discussed here. Removing book, also adding book, logging in and logging out also. So will be discussed in this model. Now we will discuss about designing with distributed object. So let us discuss. So what is the meaning of designing with distributed object, and how and why it is required. So as the business grow, they often set up operations over large geographic areas that may span multiple state, even countries. So here what we can find it desirable to process data at their point of origin and create result at the location where they are actually needed. So as a consequences, business, so whatever it is, install multiple computer systems which are interconnected by communication links, and applications run across a network of computers rather than on a single machine. So this such systems we can call it as a distributed systems. So now that's why we are going to discuss designing with distributed object and systems. Distributed processing offers a number of advantages. It's more economical and efficient to process data at the point of origin. Actually, distributed systems make it easier for users to access and share the resources. Distributed computing is not without its share of drawbacks. First, the software for implementing them is very complex. So, and although a distributed system is made of multiple computers, its design must somehow we need to ensure that most part are able to view it as a centralized system. So another thing, so if data is replicated here, the copies always must be made mutually consistent. And second point, Data access may be slow because information may have to be transferred across a communication link. Third, securing the data is challenge. This point is very important in the designing with the distributed object because securing data is one of the hectic challenges. As a data is distributed over multiple systems and transported over communication links are, so we should care must be taken a guarantee that is not lost, not corrupted and stolen. So as the final, what we conclude here, why we require this basically communication of the client server system is a major topic of the this here. We address the process of designing and implementing a distributed object oriented application system. So we present two approaches to building such a system. The first mechanism is which uses JRM, Java Remote Method Invocation, which is a process of a software generally called middleware, which helps mask the heterogeneity. The second approach here, www dot or World Wide Web itself to access the data processed at a remote site. So now we are going to basically discuss client var server system. So we know that in the distributed designing on the object, distributed systems can be classified into a peer-to-peer system and client server system. So every computer system say that we can call it as a node, host or system. In the distributed run the same set of all algorithms. They are all equal in some sense. Another part, the client or server approach is more popular because it is the commercial world. In the client server system, we know there are two types of the node will be having here. One is the clients and server. Client machine, we know that basically the operations of client server is client machine sends a request to one or more servers, which is a process the request, so and return the result to the client. Okay, so here the client is requesting for n number of the client to the one server or many servers. So the server may receive this uh, request from the client, process this, analyze it, search the data and replay to the in time to the clients. So this is the thing. So here like that for these communications we know that there are a lot of applications are there to end to end this communication to the client and server. So many applications can use this model, and these days software at and many client or web server. So now we'll just discuss about the basic architecture of client server. So before going to this diagram, we will see that what is exactly the basic architecture of the client server system. So to keep track of the matter here, we assume that a client server system we need to build, we may have assume that multiple clients. So they will have a just one server. It is not difficult to extend the technique to multiple servers. So this is not a serious restriction. We will see in the next diagrammatical representation. So what will be the client server architectures. So this is we have just assumed that multiple client just one server, not difficult to extend. So to the multiple server, so that is not a serious restriction. So now this is the client server architecture system. So we know that this is the object oriented system that we can call it as a server part, and the different client here we have just assumed that we have taken one server and different client. So user interface client 1, user interface client 2, user interface client 3, and so okay, user interface client n. So in this figure, what we say that a system with one server, three clients, each client runs a program that provides a user interface which may or not be a GUI, graphical user interfaces. Here, actually, the server hosts an object-oriented system like any other client server system, like the client send a request to the server, and these requests are processed by the OOD object oriented system at the server, and the result are same thing which are returned. The result are as usually shown in the end users via user interface at the client. So this we say that there is a basically how the difficulty in accessing object of the one system to the another system. So that we will see in the next slide. So now we are going to discuss difficulty in accessing object in different Java virtual machine. So there is a basic in this diagram. First of all, so we would like to see that there are two Java virtual machine, so that the four objects are going to execute in that one. How that virtual machine are going to access the respective address which are allocated to the object. So we will discuss in detail here. So there is a basic difficulty in accessing the object running in a different Java virtual machine, that is JVM. So let us consider here two JVMs, that is Java virtual machine, hosting the object as we can see in this diagrammatical representation. So a single JVM has the address space part which is allocated to the object living in it. For example, the object 1 and object 2 are created in JVM 1, which are allocated at the address A1 and this address A2 respectively. Similarly, object 3 and object 4, so in the which are live in the JVM2 Java Virtual Machine 2 and are respectively allocated as the address A3 and address A4 with these three object 3 and object 4. So but here code within the object, whatever the code within this object 2 can access the field and methods in the object 1 using the address A1. So in the meaning that subject of course to access specifier. So however address 3 and 4 here 3 and 4 which give the address of the object of 3 and object 4 in JVM2 are meaningless here within JVM1. To see this, suppose A1 and A3 are equal, so then accessing field using address given by A3 from code within the object A within the JVM1, so which will end up accessing memory locations within this object 1. So this is the difficulties we say that accessing the object in a different JVM, because this JVM2 object 3 is different Java virtual machines and object 1 of address A1. So it is the different Java virtual machines. So this how we are going to tackle this. So this difficulty can we can handle. So there are two way it is possible. So that we can see here. So this difficulties Java virtual machine. So these difficulties can be handled in one of the two ways. The first one is by using the object oriented support software. This is always is possible in these cases. What we say that whatever the software which always solve the certain type of the accessing problems. So here the by using the object oriented support software, what it says that the software here solves the problem by use of proxies. That is the one more thing, proxies that receive the method calls on remote object, uh, ship these calls and then collect and the return the result to the object we know could call. So what do you mean that here client could have a custom built piece of that software that interact with the server software. This approach is a basis of Java RMI. So that is called a Java remote method invocation. We are going to cover next section. So here one methodology problem how we can solve this kind of the accessing problem using the software is proxies. What do you mean by the using proxy? Now I'm just going to briefly explain what you mean by proxies. So here using proxy, what it does. So where do we this actually pattern which is used when insufficient or inconvenient, what we say that even impossible cases. This is accessing A1 addressing address in the object 1 and A3 the object 3 in the JVM2 and similarly JVM. So this is very difficulties in such cases using this for proxy. It is indicated that proxy design pattern. So we can use that in an actual object to create or use an actual, perhaps creating an object may be too time consuming, in which case the uses of this pattern lets postponement of this creation until the actual object is needed. How it can be solved? So in the distributed system case, because we are talking about designing with distributed object, so use of proxy allows to access remote object by reference. Always call reference call will be taken into the account. So thus that way update from the multiple client which are made directly to the object, so that we may choose the copy of the object, because of reference will be calling here copy of the object to the point of use. However, replication always introduce consistency issues that need the employment of expensive protocols. In the example of document referring to the graphical object, the proxy creates the actual image object only when asked by the document object itself, because these details we have studied in the proxy structural design pattern. We are very familiar with that one type of the design pattern. So in the both examples, so here in this proxy which creates an image object, we know that whenever it so asked by the document itself. So after the image which is created, all the requests sent to the proxy which are directed to the actual image itself. So in the both examples, we should notice that one client always maintains the reference to the proxy, which delegates the responsibility of carrying out of operation actual object. So how are we employed it in Java RMI? So that employs proxies to stand for remote object. All the operations exported to remote here, remote operations are implemented by the proxy structural design pattern. So here we can say that proxies are termed as stubs. Stubs is a set of code in the Java RMI registry. So these stubs are created by RMI compiler. There is this client, subject, proxy, and real subject. Based upon the request, that registry will be proxy stub will be created where we can access the object in the respective addresses, whatever the data or methods. Similarly, now second one, by avoiding direct use of remote object by using the hyper, this is the text, not test, hypertext transfer protocol, that is the HTTP protocol. So here avoiding the direct use of a remote object by using the hypertext transfer protocol, what it does, this protocol actually system sends request first of all, and it collect the responses via encoded text, because we are using HTTP protocol. So encoded text message, the object is to be used to accomplish the task parameter whatever, so all are transmitted via these messages. Actually, this approach has the client which employ an internet browser, which is of course a piece of general purpose software for accessing document on the world wide web. In this case, the client software is ignorant of the application structure and communicate to the server via text message that includes HTML, hypertext transfer protocol, code and data. This is the technique which are used to, we say that hosting the system on the web. Definitely, it is definitely more popular, which we are going to discuss in the later stage. So now we are going to discuss Java remote method JRM invocation. Actually, our goal of Java RMI is to support the building of client or server system, whether where the server hosts an object-oriented system that client can access programmatically. So here what we should consider, the object at the server maintained for access by the client are termed as remote object. A client access a remote object by getting what is called, we can call it as remote interface. So after that, actually the client may be invoke the method of the object. What is the basic idea of the RMI is to employ the proxy design pattern. So we heard about this and we studied about it. This pattern is actually used when it is sufficient or inconvenient or impossible, perhaps very difficulties access will be there. In such cases, we are going to use this. So in the current context, the object is only available at a remote site. If the same object is to be available at multiple client sites, one option is to download the copy of the object to all the client sites, but such a replication of the object introduce synchronization issue when the object is to be updated cases. Otherwise, no synchronization issues will be coming to that point. So whenever updation is required, synchronization issue will be coming. Then how we can solve this? So, but Instead, the proxy pattern create a proxy object at each client side that access the remote object. That is the very carefully and very easy way to we can access the by creating the proxy object. The proxy object always implement all of the remote object operation that remote object always want to available to the respective clients. So in that, so we already discussed using proxy that the so when the object proxy object assembles a message that contains remote object identity, the method name parameter, this assembly is usually what we called as marshalling. Okay. Another this process the method call must be represented when with enough information so that a remote site which knows that object is to be used, so the method to be invoked. So these cases, so when the message is received by it, the server performs, that is called as demarshal. So there are two techniques will be available here. JRM invocation, Java remote method invocation. One is the way of assembling all the methods name parameter. This we can call this process usually we can call it as marshalling. Another method when the message is received by it, the server which performs this we can call it as demarshal. So where by the process which is reverse. So exactly reverse of the marshalling is demarshalling and demarshalling is marshalling. So we say that actual call on the remote method, so a remote object is made, so and in any kind of return value is the return to the client via a message which is shipped from server to the respective proxy object. This is the main thing need to consider. So next here what we say that regarding this JRM including marshalling and demarshalling technique is the system which maintains a separate proxy for remote object. When an object asks for reference to the respective remote object, so it is handed reference to the object proxy instead of that one. So usually a setting of a remote object access in the Java remote method. So even for all type of the small applications which involves a number of steps, in fact we shall see that once we learn to set up a simple we say that simple application system, we will have a learn tool the techniques for creating almost all any client or server using this technology. So once we discussed with, so as we discuss each the major concept of Java remote method invocation, the concept which we will illustrate so is using an particularly in the running example of client server systems. So what we can do this regarding that setting up a remote object, that is the major task in the JRM method invocation. Setting up remote object which is a system which is accomplished by these are the one of the following steps is there. This step is simple statement was, so what we say that the first step is define the functionality that must be made available to the client. So this is accomplished by creating remote interface. So where we need to consider this point is whenever it is we need to have the setting up the or set to the remote object to the client system. So we should do it first of all we need to define it the what is the functionality of the client, how it is going to interact with the servers, what and all are the functionality is required to the client host system. So this is accomplished by creating interface. Then interface will be created. Now come to second point here, what we discuss, implement uh, the remote interfaces. Whenever we implement remote interfaces via remote classes, so this point we need to be consider. This is a main consideration point of this JRM invocation. Whenever invocation method is there, so we should implement, we know that we are going to implement that one. What is that one? Interfaces, but how we are going to implement and what is the users. So how we, what object, or whether you are creating a abstract class or a subclass, whatever it is. So the main thing is remote classes. This task also the one of the tedious, because whenever we need to implement the remote interfaces, we have to create a remote classes with the respective interfaces, so that should be proper. Then we can implement this such a remote interfaces. This is the point we need to be consider. Next is third, we say that create a server. That server the remote object. So this is the casual this thing. Obviously we need to create a server, that the remote object, whenever any kind of the remote object will be there, that we should create a server of that one. Compulsory we need to create a respective remote object. So the next point is, fourth one is set up the client. So how we can going to set up the client machine? This we can be taken into the next sections. So remote interface, how can we can do the set up the client, is that nothing but remote interfaces, implementing remote interface along with code, creating server, the client, setting up the system, and this should be taken with along with the code will be in the next video.